Hey everybody. Um, Previously, a few months ago, I did a video about Georgia football, and I promised an update. So here's my update. We have one more game of the regular season left, and that is against Georgia Tech, which should be a definite win for Georgia. But I'm not going to badmouth because I badmouthed about Tennessee, and then Tennessee almost beat us. Um, and speaking of Tennessee, I am happy for them. Derek Dooley was just fired a couple of hours ago, and no offense to Derek Dooley because his dad was one of the greatest coaches ever in college football because he coached for Georgia and led us to a national championship in 1980 with the great Herschel Walker. But all Tennessee fans who may be watching this, know that I'm proud for you guys and hope that y'all have a better season in 2013, which I'm confident you will if you get a great coach and work with your defense. I think that's where the problem lies. Tennessee has an awesome offense, in my opinion. This is my opinion now. They've got a great offense, and they can go and make these big scoring plays. They've got a killer passing game. Tyler Bray is an awesome quarterback, but not as awesome as Aaron Murray. No way. But and Rajon Neal and Cordell Patterson. I mean, they are just thumbs up. I give them a 10 out of 10 on their running game and on their passing game, minus the interceptions. But their defense is just so weak, and I think that's where a lot of the games are lost, is the defense. But just to wrap this up, I hope that Tennessee gets a great coach and that we'll play a great game next year in Knoxville. Now, back to Georgia. We are 10-1. Yeah, 10-1. We have won all our games except for the South Carolina game. And if you don't know the reason behind the blowout, it's sad, guys. But there's a reason behind it, and if you don't know it, I encourage you to go look it up. But still, I don't like to talk about that game because I was in a hotel room and yelling at the TV, and there were other people in the hotel, so I kind of had to leave. I had to leave and go somewhere else, and I didn't watch a good bit of that game. But anyway, we have won the big games, most importantly, against Florida. That, excuse me guys, my allergies are like really bad today, but the game against Florida was incredible. Both teams showed up and played an awesome game. Georgia's was just almost perfect. But we lost to South Carolina like we did, and Florida beat South Carolina like 44-11. South Carolina didn't even score a touchdown, and so Florida's coming off that oh, we're gonna beat you, dogs. Last year was just a mistake. Well, guess what? It happened 2 years in a row, 17-9. Florida couldn't even score a touchdown on us. Georgia scored 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal. Florida fumbled in the first 3 minutes of the game, and Georgia scored off that fumble. It was an awesome game. And, you know, last night, in the past 2 weeks, the BCS rankings have, like, totally just, the unthinkable happened. Alabama last week got beat by A&M, moving Alabama down to number 4. Then you had Kansas State sitting at number 1. Oregon sitting number 2, and Notre Dame at number 3, followed by Alabama and then Georgia. So that's your top 5 as of last week. But the rankings haven't come out today yet. The official ones, they'll come out at 8:30 Eastern Time on ESPN, and I will be watching that, and sometime maybe in the next week. I don't have much to do before the holidays, before Thanksgiving. I don't have school, anything, so I'm off for a week, guys. But, excuse me, I'm sorry, but, I just lost my train of thought. Let me think. Okay, back to BCS. So, those top 5 as of week 10, they came out, and everybody's like, oh, there's Alabama got defeated, guys. They got one loss. And they're the defending national champions. Now, I was like, oh, that's great, that's great. Now, all we need is for Kansas State and Oregon to go down. Well, guess what? They went down last night. I watched both games. I had on like 3 games at one time. I was watching Tennessee and Vandy, Kansas State and Baylor. I watched majority of the Kansas State and Baylor game. And I knew Baylor had that one from the beginning. 52-24 was the final. Kansas State, number 1, went down to an unranked team. Oh. Wonder where they're going to drop to. And then Oregon went into overtime with Stanford. They'll probably not drop as low, I expect, as Kansas State will, because Stanford was ranked 13, so, and Oregon was number 2, so that's about 11 places different, and I expect Oregon to be sitting at least 1 spot higher than Kansas State will, just due to the fact that they were beaten in overtime by an unranked team. 17-14 was the final on that. And of course, Notre Dame, they played a team that's not very good. They played Wake Forest, and they shut them out. That was expected. Wake Forest is not a good football team, guys. If you don't know that, they aren't a good football team. No offense to you Wake Forest fans, but they aren't a good football team. Plain and simple. So, Notre Dame really hasn't had much competition in their conference. The ACC is not very strong this year, unless you look at, well, there's always those exceptions. Notre Dame being the only undefeated team, which I would love to see them defeated in their championship game, because that would mean, yes, the SEC will be in the top 2. They may play in the national championship, guys. But, if Notre Dame could go down, that would be the prime spot for Alabama and Georgia. And not to mention, unless some freak accident happens and Auburn beats Alabama this coming Saturday, or Georgia Tech beats Georgia, well, Auburn beating Alabama would mean that Texas A&M would probably go in place of the SEC Western champions, and Georgia has already been declared SEC Eastern champions. They held their own fate, pulled out and beat Ole Miss, and they beat Auburn 38-0. By the way, Auburn fans, ha ha ha! I don't like Auburn. I really don't. And I really don't like Alabama either. I hardly even know any true Alabama fans who aren't on this Alabama bandwagon, and that's my cousin who lives in Alabama and went to the University of Alabama. That's the only true Alabama fan I know. My best friend is an Alabama fan. She used to be a devoted Florida fan, but then Will Muschamp got hired. She hopped on the bandwagon. That's what most Alabama fans are, is bandwagon. You are a bandwagon unless you live in the state of Alabama. Or you have some weird excuse. Yeah. Like, I live in Georgia. I love Georgia Bulldogs football. So, I have that reason. I plan on attending the University of Georgia whenever it comes time for me to go to college. But, anyway, SEC Championship, December 1st. That is 13 days away. 13 days till December, guys. Yes! Closer to Christmas. But, that's 13 days away in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome, and should be between Alabama and Georgia, like I said, unless some freak accident happens. And Alabama fans, you bandwagons out there, be prepared, because Georgia's going to come ready to fight. Nobody hardly thought that Georgia would beat Florida, but Georgia showed up to play. And Alabama, if you're going to play Georgia, you better show up to play, because that's the only way you're going to beat us. Because, face it, Georgia's awesome. Georgia deserves a chance to be in the national championship other than the previous national champions. They shouldn't even have a chance to be in the championship game. Plain and simple. So that's enough on that, and regardless, win or lose the SEC championship, Georgia's on their way to a bowl game. I looked at some bowl game predictions about 5 days ago or so, where Georgia should be, or maybe, unless they beat Alabama, which, hoping so, and we'll probably see, they may play in the Sugar Bowl. Now, if they can beat Alabama and move up into those top 2 spots, boom, BCS championship in Miami. That would be perfect. So, I'm going to get off my soapbox and say, go Dogs, and follow-up video definitely after the end of the regular season, so that will be coming after next Saturday. Maybe. But, so right now, Georgia's still at number 5, waiting to hear the official BCS rankings tonight at 8:30. Hope you guys watch it, and go Dogs. Have a great day.